Mm-hmm.
There's a book out called His Needs, Her Needs, and I forgot who authored it. One of the best relationship books. But on those top 5 needs of each one, the husband and the wife, security is on there for both.
Mm-hmm.
And with the women, they need the financial security, the job security, the stability of a man being stable and responsible,
Right.
not wish-washy up and down all over the place, because that messes with her security.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to have a good job, a stable job.
Right.
Again, it's not about the money, it's about the position,
Right.
what you bring to the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's,
Stability, trust, responsibility,
mm-hmm.
all those things that she's looking for, hopefully. She's smart, looking for in a good husband.
Right, right. Yeah, it's one of our key duties as a husband and a father is to provide for our family. And it's sad we work we have to work. That's part of the curse that came upon, that we'll work by the sweat of our brow. But we can still have joy in our work. We can still have joy. I love my job. I was thinking the other day, I think this often, is the kids grow up playing with their little Tonka toys in the sandbox, and now I get paid to do that. I get paid to pick rocks up and dump them, and you just, I don't have any kind of highfalutin job, but I enjoy it, and it's definitely not a glorious job where someone can, oh, you're our president. But I have fun, and it's a man has to work, has to provide for their family, but you can also have joy doing it all at the same time.
What you just said there, though, makes a lot of sense. And in essence, you do have a glorious job. Mm-hmm. Because when you bring your job home with you, it's happiness.
Right, right.
And so you're not coming home and being short with the kids and short with the wife and harming your relationship at home.
Mm-hmm.
Because you did step down from that position that could have very easily caused that to happen.
Right,
So
right.
really,
right.
you do have a glorious job. You got a job that most people, when they go home, if they have to carry their job with them in their mind,
It's hard.
most people would want your job.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, you are truly blessed.
I believe that our company allows advancements through. I could have, on one of my first reviews or second review, they saw the potential management in me, and that's when I'd stepped into the quality position, and I could have climbed the ladder from there, and there'll be other people that come and they step up, and I always tell them, like, you'll regret that someday. But and they do. Oftentimes I've got what my boss, my direct boss right now, was actually one of the quality people, and we work side by side, and they promoted him, and there'll be times where he'll be like, man, you were right. But some people, I'm glad that there are people that do step into the management position, because that is a needful position. There are people that are called to be in management and to carry those heavy burdens. If nobody stepped into those positions, that would be a bad place to work. But the main thing is to allow God to speak to you. And if you feel like your job is sucking all the joy out of you, you can find joy in management. You can find joy in really any area. And I think you can look for the green grass in any work. Really anything in life, is you can focus on the good or you can focus on the bad. You can have a stressful job, but maybe instead of focusing on all the stressful points, focus on the good and just the blessings. But there are times where I think God does call us to career changes or different things. And I think, at least for me personally, is my life track is not being in management and company, and but for you it might be. So it's important to allow God to speak to you in such a way. In Ecclesiastes chapter 9, it says, "What profit hath he that worketh in that wherein he laboureth? In Ecclesiastes 3, and this is verse 10, it says, I have seen the travail which God hath given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. Also he hath set the world in their heart, so that no man can find out the work that God maketh from the beginning to the end. I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life. And also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is a gift of God. Why work? This principle here that we can take from this scripture. Why work a hated job that makes you miserable when it will negatively impact all the relationships in your life? Brother Doug had kind of made that statement. It is not worth working a job just for money or benefits. We have to have money, but there are other ways to make a dollar. If necessary, one should make a career change, do something that they enjoy regardless of the income or whether you will be remembered for what you do. There are times where we just have to make a career change, and a lot of you guys are nearing that end of your working career. One day I'll be there too. But I pray that your job in the years past had brought you joy. One should not, if one wants a happy life, full of joy, family or marriage, then that individual must do something that they do and look forward to doing every day. But we need to make sure that we do not, sell your soul for your job. Don't, put every bit of your soul into your work and leave your family behind and leave your relationships, your church family. Oftentimes you'll see someone get blessed with a good job. Maybe it's blessed with a good job. I can't answer for that, but you'll see where it just takes them away from the house of the Lord. They can know they've got to work on Sundays. They have to work on Wednesdays. And it's important not to sell your soul for a job. A job will not love somebody back. Like I said, at the end of the day, I'm 44419. Anybody that's labeled with a number is probably not loved by that person. My job does show me appreciation from time to time, but it's not a true love. Do not put your marriage or your family at risk for a job. It's not the dollar that you make is not worth the cost of your children. It's not worth the cost of your family. Legacy comes through family, friendships, and influencing children. Doing a job is a hard way to leave a legacy. I think especially in every man, probably every woman, I can't speak for the women, but I would think that there's that desire to leave a legacy behind. And doing it through your workplace is probably not going to be the way that you achieve your legacy. I look at my dad. My dad, I think he spent 27 years at a workplace, and he was loved there. He was appreciated there, but he's been gone for 7 or 8 years now, and he's probably still remembered by a few people there, but I doubt there's much of a legacy. But if you go around town, especially kids around Wyatt's age or his age, from about 10 years older, you say the name Larry Hutchens, there's going to be many, many, many young men still know my dad, and that's a legacy that he has left behind because he poured into young men, he poured into relationships, and he spent a lot of time up in Mount Orb at the teen center. And when my dad passed away, he wrote on the window, Larry Hutchens, a righteous man. I forget exactly what it was. And my dad has left a legacy, and it was because he poured into relationships. He was a hard-working man. I think I haven't met too many men that worked harder than my dad, but his legacy was really passed on by the relationships that he had. So it's important. It's important to work, but if we want to leave a legacy behind, it's who you are pouring into. The greatest way to leave a legacy is to pour into your family, pour into people. And another thing here that we can see in Ecclesiastes, to have joy is to enjoy food. Can anyone say amen to that? That's probably a bad time to talk about this one. 'Tis the season of fasting for the beginning of the year, but there'll be joy in the food when you're able to eat once again. In Ecclesiastes 2:24, it says, "There is nothing better for a man that he should eat and drink, and that he should make his soul enjoy good in his labor. This also I saw, that it was from the hand of God." And it's important to enjoy food, and it's more than about just eating, but there can be a lot of family memories formed around the dinner table. There can be, I know growing up, one of my favorite memories was making cookies with my dad. Is we'd have two different bowls, and I'd mix the sugar and the butter and different things together in one bowl, and there'd be the bowl with the flour, and we'd make oatmeal cookies, I think is what we made. But I'm sure the cookies were good, but it was just the memories that were formed around it. The fact that families have stopped cooking and eating together is destroying them. It's sad to see that people have really left the dinner table oftentimes, that they don't eat dinner together. The busyness has overtaken society, or maybe they eat in front of watching the TV. I was over at a friend's house one time. I think it was my first time eating over there, and I went to go sit around the table to eat because I thought that's what my family had done. I thought that's what every family had done, and they kind of looked at me weird, like, "We don't eat there." We eat with our little TV dinner plate in front of the TV dinner, or in front of the TV. They had little stools that they would use to eat, and it's sad that that's the way many families are. And if that is your family, I would encourage you to go back to the dinner table, because you can. That's a place of healthy relationships. You can talk about your day. You can talk about the good of your day, the bad of the day. I like to check with my kids and just, how was your day? And sometimes I'll get a response, and sometimes I won't. But it's a place that we can come together. Food is meant to be enjoyed, not simply to keep people alive. I think about the Garden of Eden. That food was there to sustain Adam and Eve, but I believe that God made some of that food very delicious, and I would say it was safe to say that they could enjoy the food that they ate. Make family mealtime an event. Someday there will not be anybody to cook with or to sit on the other side of the table with, to get on each other's nerves or to kick out from under the table. I know especially when it goes to cooking in the kitchen, you often hear that term, there's too many cooks in the kitchen, because people just like to do it their way. But maybe don't have that attitude, but maybe just make the best of it. Make memories while you're cooking in the kitchen. Make memories with your children, your spouses, your family members. So it's important to enjoy food.
With our family, I've had Abby and Connor holding a spoon with me as soon as they could hold a spoon.
Mm-hmm.
They both have known how to read a recipe
Right. And
for
there's
many years. And when they were little, we did eat in front of the TV because we didn't have a dining room table they could fit at.
mm-hmm.
But it's always been no phones at the table.
Right.
It's we sit and we talk. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
just scarf and get up. They have to ask to get up to be excused from the table.
Mm-hmm.
And it has brought us closer together.
Mm-hmm.
No TV. We don't check our phones
Right.
And they've cooked with me, and now I'm encouraging, they send me recipes, and now I'm encouraging them. Okay, you get the recipe, tell me what you need, you cook dinner that night, and you don't have to do the dishes. One of their chores
Right.
is doing the dishes
Yep.
after.
Yep.
And so now I'm encouraging them
Right.
to step in and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if they mess up, they mess up.
Yep.
I mean, Connor's cooked us burgers that were completely raw in the middle, but burnt to a crisp on the outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and Abby has set off the smoke detector because she forgot to put water to broccoli.
Mm-hmm.
But doing that stuff, it helps kids step into who they are.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's neat to watch.
Yeah, there's many life lessons that can be learned, in the kitchen room or in the dining room. It's important that we take advantage of those opportunities. Let's look at Ecclesiastes 9, verse 9. Ecclesiastes 9, verse 9 says, "Live joyfully with the wife whom thou lovest all the days of thy life of thy vanity, which he hath given thee under the sun, all the days of thy vanity, for that is thy portion in this life, and thy labor which thou takest under the sun." It's important to be able to enjoy your spouse, enjoy relationships, enjoy one another. Solomon here, a man that had 700 wives. A lot of these wives came through forming allies with different people. He had all these wives, but he really did not have true love. And you see in the Song of Solomon where he had disguised himself just to be a normal person, and because he wanted to know what true love was like. He didn't want somebody to love him for being the king, but he just wanted to experience true love. And you see where he'd fallen in love with the Shunammite woman, and then the two were married, and the relationship was consummated. And then he broke the news to her and her mother that he was the king. Could you imagine that? You fall in love with somebody, and then afterwards, when the marriage is brought together and consummated, that well, I'm the king actually. When everyone wanted to be with the king, she just wanted to experience true love. He just wanted to have true love, and they got to experience that. They formed that relationship in purity, that without having without knowing who he was, there was a true love there. And it's important for us to find true love in companions. This is a portrait of God's courtship. What's it?
There was no honesty in the relationship.
There wasn't honesty, but
All of the fact of the wives and who he was in real life. And
I think the pastor, you can bring clarity if you need here, but I think he just wanted, when you get to someone to be the position, in any position, oftentimes people will just want you for your position, and he wanted to experience true love without having that preconceived, because once you know someone is in the position that they are, it changes the way you process everything. It's hard to have that pure mindset knowing that he was the king. Not saying that it's not possible, but I think for most pastors that
I agree.
It's also a good lesson to us because Paul teaches that the relationship between Jesus and the bride is marriage.
mm-hmm.
He actually said that.
Yep.
So God is telling us that I want you to love me, not for what I can do,
Right.
not for who I am. I want you to know me and love me for me.
Right.
Love me for my heart,
Mm-hmm.
not my hand.
Right.
Real simple. I don't want to be loved for my money, my job, my position, I want to be loved for me. Know me
Mm-hmm.
intimately. That's the key.
Right.
And that's what that whole book is about. It's about teaching the children of God to love God
For who he
and
is.
want to love him for who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Worship him, not praise
Mm-hmm.
Worship is his heart. Know me intimately.
Right.
And love me for who I am. Not what I can do.
Right.
I don't want to be loved for what I can do.
Right.
I want to be loved for who I am.
Right.
And that's a strong message.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Solomon wanted. God used him to send that message to the church.
Right.
The bride of Christ. Love Jesus for Jesus.
Who he is.
Not for what he does.
Does that make sense, Brother Doug?
Yeah.
So we'll probably finish right there for this morning. But that's a good note to finish on. Is one of the things to bring joy into your life is just to love Jesus for who Jesus is. Love him for his love for you. Love him for that he is. His love for you is greater than your love for him, but he just wants to be with you. And it's important for us to come into his presence, not wanting anything from him, but just wanting just to spend time with him. And I believe that this service to come, that we can experience that. We can experience God's presence and his love, and just